Welcome to another edition of DAC-FP TV. I'm your host, Don Friedman, President of the Digital Assets Council of Financial Professionals. I'm really excited about this episode as we do a montage from our Bitcoin mining conference. To give you a taste, Rick Edelman, our founder, interviews three powerhouses in the world of digital assets. First, he interviews Jason Les, CEO at Riot Blockchain. Jason walks you through and explains what Bitcoin mining is. Secondly, Rick interviews Anthony Scaramucci, founder of Skybridge Capital. Anthony explains the trusted network as it relates to money. And lastly, Rick interviews Michael Saylor, chairman and CEO at MicroStrategy. Michael explains how to deliver property over a $50 Android phone to 8 billion people. This episode is awesome. I hope you enjoy it too. Thanks.
If the price of your stock is moving similarly to Bitcoin or in tandem, thematically, is there that much of a difference between buying Bitcoin versus buying stock in your company?
Well, I would say first and foremost, I'm a believer in Bitcoin. Riot's a believer in Bitcoin. I would encourage everyone to take a look at Bitcoin itself and explore how they could own Bitcoin for themselves. Riot, to those who don't want to do that, I think Riot serves as a good proxy, and not just for the fact that we're holding Bitcoin on our balance sheet, but because of what we're doing through mining. Mining is essentially, with a competitive cost structure, a miner is accumulating Bitcoin at a discount to market. So to kind of put that—
elaborate on that. That's a really important point. So
Sure.
We know that Bitcoin's price, let's call it $30,000, roughly thereabouts today. It doesn't cost you $30,000 to mine it. Is that what you're saying?
No. So the real primary input, we make the capital expense in these machines. The advancements in these machines have slowed down over time. So we expect these machines to have a good lifespan at this point. So you make that expense, and then your real only inputs are your energy cost, which is the biggest one. It's about 80% of your cost there. And then you have maybe operational maintenance costs, rent, staff to maintain that kind of stuff, small repairs, upgrades, but primarily energy is your input. So the way to think about Bitcoin mining is miners are converting energy into Bitcoin. And if you have a very competitive cost of energy, what you're essentially doing is purchasing Bitcoin at a pretty good discount to market.
Get into Bitcoin now before the pack. It is very, very early. How early? People don't like sports expressions, but I'm going to use one. We're not even out of spring training yet. Forget about the innings. We haven't even got to the ballpark yet to start the first official game. It is so early in Bitcoin. So I don't know where it will be. Could it be double or triple the price that it is today? Perhaps. But even there, it'll still be very, very early. There's a very nascent thing that's going on in the society. If Bitcoin really is digital gold, and it has properties of gold, and remember, people will push back and say, well, gold has manufacturing value. Yes, that represents about 5% of the price of gold. Gold has value because human beings perceive it to have value. Same thing with Bitcoin. And by the way, same thing with this. Let me show you this because I got a few of them in my pocket. Okay? See these, Rick? What are those? Okay. Those are Italian singles, Rick. You see them? Okay. If Tony Soprano was on the show, he would say, these are Italian singles. Okay. You see that?
And only somebody named Anthony Scaramucci would be allowed to say that.
Okay. It's probably not politically correct, but what is this? This is a piece of fabric. It's mostly nylon and some cotton. It's got blue ink on it. There's a counterfeit strip. This is absolutely worthless, Rick. See it? It's worthless, okay? However, I can take it to the pizzeria and I can trade it for goods and services there, and then he'll take it or she'll take it and trade it for goods and services because we have a trusted network as a result of this. Okay, so what do we know about our money? Axiomatically, it's always worth less than the goods and services that we're trading it for. So if someone tells me Bitcoin is worthless, this is not worthless. Look at it. It's a piece of nylon with some green paint on it and a very handsome man there, Ben Franklin, on the front.
All right, so let me ask you.
My point is the network itself is usually valuable, and as it scales, Bitcoin will be worth more than gold.
I certainly think that Bitcoin is better than buying a market basket of big tech stocks. And the reason why I think it's better is two things. One, big tech was a good idea 10 years ago when 95% of the people disagreed with you on that. But you can't find 95% of the investors that would disagree with big tech today. Everybody owns big tech. It's a crowded trade. 22-year-old Uber drivers know that big tech's a good trade. So it's not a novel discovery that Amazon, Apple, Facebook, and Google have digital monopolies. So that's one reason why it's not a good idea. The second reason is Bitcoin is big tech without the company. I want Apple, but I don't want the iPhone, and I don't want the headquarters, and I don't want the employees, and I don't want the corporate entity, and I don't want the security, because all of those are attack vectors and risk factors. If the iPhone 27 is a failure, I'm going to lose money in the year 2042. But the beauty of Bitcoin is Bitcoin isn't shipping a new product every year. The product of Bitcoin is 1/21 millionth of all the money in the world, or 1/21 millionth of all the digital property in the world. And there's no reason to think that that wouldn't be good 100 years from now or 1,000 years from now. And I don't need a CEO to fix it. All I need to do is have it not change. So Bitcoin is big tech without the company, without the product, and it's big tech at a time when 98% of the people don't get it. A year ago, 99% of the people didn't get it. Twice as many people get it today. You have a chance to buy something that 98% of the people don't understand, but everybody on earth needs. Who doesn't want to give property rights and property and wealth to 8 billion people on a $50 mobile device? How are you going to do that? You can't do it with gold. You can't do it with land. You can't do it with building. You can't do it with bushels of wheat or soybeans. And you can't do it with securities like Apple stock, because it's illegal to deliver securities to somebody in Nigeria or Argentina or China. It's not going to happen. So how are you going to deliver property to a $50 Android phone to 8 billion people? And that is the same question as, how do I give music to everybody in the world for $3 a month? And the obvious answer is not a Steinway piano, not an orchestra, not musical instruments, and not phonograph records, and not CDs, and not DVDs, and not a boombox. Right? It's obvious. It's streaming music digitized. So that's what Bitcoin is. That's why I'm a believer in it. That's why I think it ought to be part of somebody's portfolio. It's massive upside. If you don't want to buy it for the macro hedge, buy it because you missed Apple or you missed Google, right? I mean, buy it because it's the next big tech network that's going to dominate the world. We need it. It's kind of obvious.